Hello everyone, this is LB3 and I am back again with another draft video. This video is part of a series where I'll take a look at the top matchups between draft prospects in college football week by week. In this video we will be taking a look at the top matchups between draft prospects in week 7 of the 2019 college football season. This will be a weekly series, so if you think there's something I missed, let me know in the comments. And if there's someone specific you'd like to see next week, also put that in the comments. Alright everyone, it is time for the first matchup, and we are talking about a guy who has potential to rise in a draft class that's weak at his position. We are of course talking about Colorado defensive tackle Mustafa Johnson. With decent production, it looks like a solid amount of athleticism. Johnson could be a riser in what is a weak defensive interior class. He mostly plays between the guard and tackle in Colorado's 3-4 defense, but I think he would be better suited to be a penetrating 3-tech at the next level. He'll be going up against the Oregon offensive line, which, while not as good as some expected coming into the year, is still jam-packed full of NFL talent that will be a real test for Mustafa Johnson. It'll also be a good test for an Oregon offensive line that did struggle a little bit in their earlier matchup against the top defensive tackle in this draft class, and Auburn defensive tackle Derek Brown. This will be a matchup every team should be watching, as trench players are becoming more and more valuable, and both teams have players who can contribute. The second matchup that we are watching is a player playing against a team that we highlighted last week and a player that we've already highlighted before. That is Wisconsin running back Jonathan Taylor. After a big game against Michigan, it is time to talk about Taylor, as he is going to be taking on Michigan State, who has one of the top run defense units in the country. Michigan State was at least one of the top run defenses in the country, giving up less than 4 yards per carry in every game so far this year, up until last week when J.K. Dobbins came to town. Now, the most likely tired Spartans will be facing off against another one of the top draft-eligible backs in the country in Jonathan Taylor. Kenny Weeks and Joe Bachie and the rest of the Spartans will have their hands full. The one potential saving grace for the Spartans is that the Wisconsin offense is not quite as balanced as Ohio State's, but still asking any team to stop Taylor is a big ask, especially with him being more involved in the passing game, which is very good for his draft stock and something I hope to continue to see throughout the year. For our third matchup, we are taking a look at a player who may not even end up coming out for the draft. Texas A&M quarterback Kellen Mond is a good player who may just not be ready for the NFL yet. But the thing is that everything can change quickly for a draft prospect, and that is especially true when they have a test against one of the most well-respected college football teams in the country. Every year, Mond seems to have a big game against a team that A&M seems to be clearly outmatched against, having a big game against Alabama his freshman year and a big game against Clemson last year. And this year, maybe he has another one against Alabama. He has solid size and arm strength and was a 5-star recruit. And he has a lot of flashes, but really needs to work on his poise and on his overall accuracy when mechanics break down. He has a lot of potential that he really just needs to capitalize on. Another player to watch is Mond's receiver in Kendrick Rogers, who has been having a decent season so far and should look to continue his forward trajectory through Alabama, who may not have a consistent answer for his size. The fourth matchup we are taking a look at is a player who has largely kind of draft boards due to strong play this season, while him and his wide receiver companion, Jalen Hurts, has inserted his name not only into Heisman consideration, but also first-round NFL draft pick consideration, something that would have been crazy talk before his transfer to Oklahoma. While there are still some of the mechanical inconsistency and accuracy issues with Hurts, he is slinging the ball with a lot more confidence under Lincoln Riley, who is quickly proving himself to be a great molder of quarterbacks and one of the best young minds at football. If Riley does not go to the NFL soon, every single quarterback in the country will end up wanting to play for Lincoln Riley, and you can't blame them. This game against Texas is the first real test for Hurts, although Texas still isn't great defensively. Here's hoping to see Hurts in the playoffs against Ohio State, Clemson, or Alabama. After the success of Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield, it would not be surprising to see Hurts climb in a way that a lot of people did not expect. The fifth and final matchup that we're going to be taking a look at is something very different and kind of rule-breaking from what we normally do on the show. For the final spot, I'd like to give a shout-out to the entire matchup of LSU versus Florida, which is absolutely cheating, but I don't care. This is one of the top matchups in terms of future NFL players who will get during the regular season of college football this year. Joe Burrow faces off against a Florida defense with talent on all 3 levels of the field, especially in the secondary and along the defensive line, to test him and the receivers and their offensive line. The Florida offense faces off against the LSU secondary with 3 potential first-round picks sometime in the future, if not more, with possibly the best one being a true freshman, unfortunately, for draftniks. LSU also has some juice off the edge with Caleb Chasen, who has been good this year, and talent at the second level with physically imposing Jacob Phillips at linebacker. Overall, every draft fan should watch as much of this game as they can, as there are players all over both teams that could help an NFL team day one. I am sure that I'm going to end up watching this game probably 5 or 6 times at minimum, just to watch different players in this game. Alright everyone, those are the top 5 matchups that I will be keeping an eye on in Week 7 of college football. If I missed a good matchup, don't hesitate to comment it, and I will be sure to check it out. I will be doing these videos weekly throughout the season, so if there are any matchups you definitely want me to highlight in Week 8, don't hesitate to comment those either. I always love to hear feedback and some good draft conversations. If you like this video, then definitely subscribe, so I'll have a lot more draft content coming to this channel throughout the college football season, and then after that, all the way up until the draft. This has been LB3. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. Peace.